powered by Riverside FM.
Hey everyone, welcome to season number 4. This is the opener here. And I got a special guest. Yes, he is the one, the only Shaun SF Banks. And right before we get down to it and talking about his brand and the positive impact that he has on the kids and the youth out there, I got some questions to ask him. And we're going to go through that for the next couple of minutes here on the podcast. So let's get ready for it. You ready, Shaun?
Hey, I'm ready. Let's do it.
All right. Ooh, okay. All right, Shaun.
I like it.
Tell the viewers and listeners about yourself in your own words, because most of them are just getting to know you right now with this episode.
All right, man. Well, I tell you, my name is Shaun Banks. I'm out of Atlanta, Georgia, originally from Seattle, Washington. And I found myself working with youth over the last 20 years. Never wanted to work with kids at all. Had zero passion to work with kids. Couldn't stand kids, actually. And found myself getting in a field that has totally transformed my life in a positive way and has allowed me to make some impact in the lives of youth around the world. I grew up inner city Seattle, right, in the 80s and 90s where gang violence was crazy. My mom got us out of the projects and by starting a house cleaning service, actually. She started cleaning for the mayor of Seattle and all these different wealthy business people, which gave us a big dream to see what was possible based on how they were living. And we got out of there, came down south to Atlanta, and it kept going from there. And so my aunt and cousin were murdered in a domestic violence situation when I was a teenager. And that inspired me to want to do something in their honor. And that's how 10, 15 years later, I actually ended up stumbling into working with youth and realized that was a part of that prayer and dream that I had earlier in my life.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, man.
Wow, that's very powerful, man.
Sir.
All right. So you've done so much for the kids and youth and fostering their growth on personal development. And there's the products, the wide array of products you have, and the camps and the conferences. Can you elaborate more on those?
Yeah. So I started with I Am Defense Institute, which was a program to teach women and children how to defend themselves. From there, opened up Camp Warrior King, which is a summer camp designed to expose kids to activities they normally wouldn't experience during the school year. And we're actually, this will be our 10th year with Camp Warrior King. This summer. We started at the end of May. From there, we went to the You Can Have It All Youth Conference, which is designed to motivate children to go after their dreams. We've done some stateside and also internationally. We have the You Can Have It All orphanage in Bombo, Uganda, East Africa, where we help children continue to go to school and get education, because it's totally different there than it is in the U.S. You have to get educated in order to be able to have any kind of job to sustain yourself. And from there we went to You Can Have It All Kids magazine, which is the fastest growing youth or fastest growing kids magazine in the world, where we're motivating kids all over the world to go after their dreams and be inspired by other youth. You have the Team Hot Sauce, which is characters designed to motivate kids. The Team Hot Sauce Success Stacks, which builds children's self-efficacy. I've written 3 books on youth development, Persevere, Overcome, Win, Raising Extraordinary Kids, and a new book called Be Unstoppable, Living Life, which is for young adults. And then we got shoelaces and T-shirts, and you got hats like this and like this T-shirt. So we're just doing a lot to motivate people, particularly younger people, and help them go after their dream.
Man, that is awesome.
Yes, sir.
How did you get these games made? Did you get with a group of people and saying this is going to help the youth, or did you actually talk with the youths directly about how to go with this concept of a game?
Well, the Success Stacks was pretty much based on the concept of self-efficacy, which is the philosophy built off of Bandurus, which pretty much is the difference. The difference between self-efficacy and self-confidence is, self-confidence is like I am, right? Like I am somebody, right? Self-efficacy is the idea that I can do. And so, when I learned about the difference, and I thought it was very fascinating, because that's something that's missing in youth today, is the belief in a lot of them that I can do something, right? Beyond, just, being a celebrity or something like that, but I can, get out of depression, right? I can, get better grades in school. I can, control my anxiety, right? And so that was where it came from. I just realized that it was something that was needed, and we just got to work on it. So it's a fairly simple game. It's words and phrases that kids can learn to be able to add to their vernacular every day. So, for example, a word is, like confidence, right? And
Uh-huh.
they take this word and they read the word, they understand what it means, and they use it every day, right? So they might go to school and the word is confidence. I am confident, right? Or, hey, I have confidence today. Or, hey, man, I have confidence in you that you could do something great. And they use it because words are power. And when you begin to speak
Uh-huh.
certain words and understand them, then you can apply them to your life, and then the words will create action behind it to get you to see change.
That is so cool.
Yeah.
It is. And by the way, regarding these youth camps and conferences, are
Mhm.
they like nationwide through all the inner cities in the USA?
So Camp Warrior King is in Atlanta. We have
Okay.
kids that come from all over the country to come to the camp.
Mm-hmm.
Just coming in from staying with their aunts and uncles for the summertime, and they may come from. We got kids from California, New York, Chicago, DC. I mean, all over the place that come in because they're visiting their relatives, and they end up coming to Camp Warrior King some period over the time. Over time we have camp. The conferences are, that's something where we will go out and do events. If there's a city that says, hey, look, we'd love to have you come out to our city and do an event, then we'll go and do it. So that's something that's a little bit more outreaching. But the magazine, the kids magazine, is the thing that reaches children all over because we don't have to be face to face in order for them to be motivated. So they can open up this magazine either digitally or get a hard copy, which I prefer them get hard copies so that they can take it, read it, touch it. There's a quote in there that they like or article they like. They can take it, tear it out, and put it on their wall and be able to see it, whether it's in their bathroom or it's in their room or it's in their folder or they just fold it up and put it in their pocket. Right? It's designed for them to be able to kind of keep it with them at all times. So, the magazine is what allows us to really reach youth.
And that's good to also let them steer away from the phone to
Yeah,
just have something to hold on to besides
yeah,
the phone, of course.
yeah, definitely, man. Because there's so much in the phone, right? And it's
Uh
not
huh.
it's not necessarily just the phone, it's the content, and that the content isn't censored or regulated, right? So
Mm-hmm.
a 9-year old can get on a phone and has access to the world. And so, in a lot of ways, right, it's less good and bad. It's good that they have access to knowledge, but it's also bad that they have access to knowledge. So much knowledge, right? Is it right? You don't necessarily want your 9-year old coming home and asking you questions about things that are, adult topics that you may or may not be ready for them to uh, learn about. Or the worst thing is that you can't unsee certain things. So that's really hard for kids.
Cool. And out of all the youth that you've helped, was there one particular one that had this profound effect on you?
Uh Man, there's tons of kids that have had a profound effect on me.
Uh huh.
I mean, all the time, right? Because we're seeing
Yeah.
kids that are going out and coming back, right? So kids that have graduated from high school and they may go to the military, you come back, you see them and they're in their, in their airmen's, uniform, or they're,
Yeah.
I got kids that are, airmen, Marines, or in the Navy, right? So you see these kids come back, or now they're teachers or educators, or they're in different fields. So just to see all these kids kind of coming back over the years and wanting to come back and say hello is lets you know that you had some kind of impact in their life somewhere, and that's the thing that really gives me the energy to keep going because we're seeing that we are making a difference, somewhere.
Cool. All right. Okay, you mentioned that you went to Uganda.
Yeah,
Just want to elaborate more on that.
yeah.
What was the experience like over there when you went there, like the first time?
Oh man, it was very eye opening for two
Mm-hmm.
reasons. One, you know, so stateside, right in the United States, we, I mean, the world is so big, right? And so we see what's in the
Yeah.
United States, and then we see very little of what's going on in other parts of the world. And so when I saw Kampala, right, for the first time, I was like,
Uh huh.
wow, because there's all these skyscrapers, there's all these buildings, and it just totally shatters your very narrow perception of what you think is going on there, right? And,
Mm-hmm.
you realize that, first of all, that the people are very happy, right? That people are happy, they're smiling, they're enjoying their life, right? Some, right? It's just like anywhere. But
Yeah.
there's all these skyscrapers and there's all these professionals, there's lawyers, there's doctors, there's all this stuff going on. Kampala's one of the fastest
Wow.
growing cities in the world. And you realize that it's in East Africa. And so that was very eye opening, and all the commerce and stuff going on, and all the people and the color and the beauty and the nature and the vegetation that you can just throw a seed on the ground and that thing will sprout up, right? Because the soil is so rich. So it was all of the
Mm.
food was great, right? The people are great. All that was great, right? And then you have this other side where there's like extreme poverty, right?
Yeah.
As it pertains to the children. Our idea of poverty, really is material things, right? And so you would see people who would appear to be in poverty, but they would have more joy than some of the,
Yeah.
middle class, upper middle class people you see in the United States that have hundreds of thousands of dollars but can't find the ability to get out of the bed because they're depressed about something, right? But the children, what really touched my heart was I had never experienced child homelessness before, right? To see that. I experienced homelessness as a kid myself, but it was nothing compared to what I'm seeing these kids go through on the street, literally, in packs, right, with no shoes, right, living in cardboard, right, no food, and that was very touching. I said, man, if there's something that we can do to be able to contribute to helping some of these children get a better life, then we should do it. And it ended up working out that we were able to do that.
That's great. And how many years have you been involved with them?
4 or 5 years now.
Oh, that's great.
Yeah, yeah, for 5 years now. Yeah. So
I'm sure there's a lot of
it's
remarkable progress there.
we're seeing progress, right? We are seeing progress. The most important progress is the kids getting the education, being able to get educated and go from being in the orphanage to being able to move on, being able to have
Hmm.
dreams and goals. Being able to see some of the guys married, right, and have
Yeah.
families and see these ceremonies and just seeing the progress. But there's still a lot of work to do. That's the thing. I mean, there's still a ton of work to do there. So it's a long-term commitment for us.
That's good. All right. How can people find more about you on the internet?
They can go three things. I mean, they can go to the website. They can go to gosfb.com to learn more about the projects and things that I'm doing. For the
Hmm.
magazine, they can go to ukids.world. And I definitely want people to connect with me on social media so they can get real time, updates of what's going on. And that's on Instagram at SF Dreams Big.
Cool.
Yep.
And we're going to do a screen share here. I'll screen share your website for everyone to look at
All right.
if they're watching the video here. And for those that are listening, I'm going to give you the web link. So we're doing both the audio and video podcast here at the
Yes,
same
sir.
time. So,
Yes, sir.
all right, let's share the screen here. And I will go to that window here. Select that. And there you go, folks.
There it
That
is.
is
That's the guy.
gosfb.com. And there's Shaun himself holding the products,
Yep.
the gear. And by the way, I want to ask you this question.
What's
How
up?
did SF came about?
SF stands for Shaun's Free. I always wanted
Oh,
to
okay.
my goal as a child was I wanted to be free,
Uh-huh.
to be able to go after my dreams, to be able to free my time primarily, to be able to own my own time, to be able to work on something and be able to go after it, to be able to build those dreams however I wanted to. And so, SF stands for Shaun's Free.
That is awesome. And you even have a something for anyone to fill out
Yep, yep. They
or
can
to
they can hit us up
request.
right there. Yes, sir.
Yeah. All right. And let me end that screen share there. And now, so what's next for you? What's next
Uh,
for Shaun Banks?
What's next is continuing to build the kids magazine. You can have it all.
Hmm.
That's what's next. That's what we're sinking our teeth into, so that we could be able to reach more children around the world to be motivated. Because I
Hmm.
believe that motivation is a universal language, right? And that everybody around the world deserves to have motivation or deserves to have the tools to be successful, especially youth. And so we want to continue to spread that message of positive content for kids. they can be able to come on and be able to see another kid that's into skateboarding, or a kid that's into reading, or a kid that's into, I mean, whatever, horseback riding or whatever, and be inspired by it, and be inspired to say, hey, look, if they could do it, I could do it too. And so that's what we want. So that's where we are at the magazine. Yes, sir.
That's awesome.
Yeah,
Okay, I
man.
saw that one photograph. How did you manage to meet the Tony Robbins?
So I met Tony Robbins at a conference. I met Tony Robbins at a conference, and
Uh-huh.
had an opportunity to spend some time with him. And he asked me what I wanted to do, and I said I want to do what you're doing around the world, but I want to do it for youth. And he kind of looked at me. And he was like, man, you can do it, right? I mean, this guy meets millions of people every day. I don't know,
Yeah.
right? But it was a cool opportunity to be able to meet him and talk with him, spend a little bit of time with him. Super high energy guy. Uh, Super high energy guy. And it's funny because his personality is massive, but he's actually a big guy himself.
Yeah.
But man, yeah, it was a great time. I was at a conference, I got a chance to spend some time with him, and that was great. Yeah.
I'm sure you learned a lot from him too.
Absolutely. I've just reading his books, learning his story, and his strategies on how he does things. I've learned a lot, tremendous amount. Particularly one of the things that stick with me most of all, from Tony Robbins, is just maintaining a state of mind,
Yeah.
and trying to and staying in a certain state, right? And so it takes work, but just keeping myself in that positive state is important. Just dealing with life, right? Because all kinds of things come at you, and it's like, okay, regardless of what comes, I'm going to stay in this state. I choose to be in this state, right? I could choose to be in a different state of mind. So that's one of the biggest things I've gotten from
Yeah, I have one of his
him.
mastery CDs, but I left it over there in at my parents' place in Virginia
Yeah.
Beach. So hopefully
Uh-huh.
I can get those.
Get it back. Yeah, yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. Yeah, man. Yeah, it's rich content, man. It's like, with him, I mean, it's like eating a steak, right? It's like you gotta
Yeah.
break it down into small bites, and you kind of gotta chew it and kind of savor it, and then apply it, right? And then come back and get another piece, because it's like there's so much. I mean, some of his books, Unlimited Power, um, which is one of my favorites. Awaken the Giant is great too, but Unlimited Power is probably one of my favorite books. And it's just like this thick, right? And it's like you break it, and it's like small words. You gotta, I mean, you're underlining, and you're breaking it down, and you're trying to apply all this stuff, and it takes time. So it's a book that you can read once a year and find something new. Yeah, man.
Man, I noticed that you have something in the back there, which actually leads on to my next question. I was about to say, who were your influences growing up?
My influences growing up, I mean, first and foremost, would be my parents, my mom primarily. My mother, is the one that, um, inspired me to go after my dreams. I mean, she would walk me past, Ferrari lots when I was a kid, and we would be walking, and she'd be walking me to school, and there was this, like, in Seattle off of Pike Street, there was this like car dealership, and it had like Lamborghinis and Ferraris and Rolls
Uh,
Royces, right? And it was all like in glass. And so we walk past, and I say, Mom, I want one of those cars. She say, you can do it, right? And then we would go back to our little apartment, right? And as she started growing with her business, and
uh-huh.
getting us out of the inner city and getting us out of those situations, I was able to see that she was, you know, practicing what she was preaching, which is critical for any parent that has a child, right? Is that they will
Yeah.
do what they see you do more than what they see you say. And so that was primarily, and then there's plenty of others. Um, as far as influential people like Dexter Yeager, um, people like like I said, Dexter Yeager, George Halsey, um, people like Tony Robbins. I admire Stevie Wonder a lot. Muhammad Ali for the way he just stood up for people. I like the fact that he was able to pretty much tell himself something, and then it manifested the rest of the world, right? To where everybody believed he was the greatest because he was telling himself, and it showed. And the list goes on and on. Prince, man, is another one of my favorites, just because he was such an amazing artist, but was able to stay so humble,
Uh-huh.
with all that creativity and greatness, man. He was like just a cool guy. So that was dope, and gave a lot, right? Gave back to people, gave a lot, and didn't really, wasn't really boastful about it. You know what I mean? Like
Uh-huh.
it was just like, this is
Yeah.
part of it's what we do, right? I'm in a position to help, so I help, right? So that was cool.
Nice. All right. So, and what are some of the things you want to accomplish in life? That you have yet to accomplish in life, whether it's on a personal or a professional level.
on a professional level, my goal is to get is to just blow You Can Have It All magazine up as big as we can, and get it on
Hmm.
every single country. I mean, if there's 196 countries where people read, we need to get it there. So to get it in all those countries, that's where my focus is now. Is to really build that, so we can
Uh-huh.
motivate kids. Personally, the most important thing is just being a great dad, right? Like just to
Oh,
be present for my boys,
yeah.
to spend time with them, to be a great example for them, to just spend that time, right? To continue to get better as a father. That's a big goal of mine. I spend a lot of time with them now, but just as they're growing, I'm learning, right? Learning to talk less with them, right? It's like, okay, just let them fish. Some stuff they gotta figure out. They gotta learn, just be cool, right?
Yeah.
It's being patient, all that stuff.
How old are your kids?
I have one that'll be 6 next week. My other is 9.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, yeah. So they keep me busy. Yeah,
Nice. Just like the
and
dog
then
too that you just mentioned.
yeah, yeah. So I guess I got 3 boys now. Yeah, and I got this puppy running around, man. That's like pooping all over the place, man. And, but it's a lot of fun and keeping us busy. But another one, just real quick, is just
Hmm.
to make sure that I'm living in the moment, right? That's like so
Yeah.
important, right? Sometimes, we could be in a place and we're thinking about, like I would sometimes think, okay, this is cool, but it would be better if it was this way, right? Or I wish
Yeah.
it was that way. And it's like taking all that away and just really enjoying, like right now, May 1st on a Monday, soaking that up because you'll never get it again, right?
That is so
However this
true.
day goes, you'll never get this day. You'll never get to replay this day. And so it's
Yeah.
just learning to really just be in the moment and just soak it up, man.
Yeah, I try to do that too, especially when I'm on vacation. I try not to document too much with my phone. I just want to like just
Yeah,
be in that moment with my own
just be
eyes and
there.
see things unfold.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. See it with your eyes, like you said, not through the phone, right? Because you're recording, but seeing it with your eyes. So I try to record like this, like my phone's here, or it's like
Uh-huh.
this now, I guess. And I try to come over here like this so I can record it, but I'm like looking at the same time. It's like it's crazy, but I get you. I get
Yeah.
it, man. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. Um, yeah, I actually had some great moments. Just most of them were like not even using the phone. So
Uh-huh.
that was pretty cool. Just enjoying that time, even for those few seconds or minutes. And I always keep telling people the best moments in my life, many of which were not even documented on film or even with the
Right.
phone, or even with the, taken with the phone.
Yeah.
All
Yeah, you're right about that.
right.
And then it's like, but then like they weren't, but then you kind of wish that they were, so you could see it again.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
At least I was able to get a photograph with Hulk Hogan at one point. So
Oh
childhood
man.
fulfilled many years later.
Yes, sir. Oh man. Yeah, I would love that, dude. Hey, you remember they used to have like the cartoon
Yeah,
with Hulk Hogan and like oh man, Macho Man and
yeah,
Junkyard Dog and all those guys? Yeah, yeah,
yeah. We
those were
had
the
we had the
days.
best cartoons back then.
Yeah, I saw those were the days, boy. We did. Yeah, we definitely did, man. They were just cartoons. There was no, like, I mean, there really wasn't any, like how a lot of cartoons or shows now have such a
Yeah,
political undertone, right? They're like
yeah.
trying to relay a message in between, like it's woven in between, as opposed to just being a cartoon, right? Just let
Right.
the cartoon be the cartoon. You know what I mean? If the bad guy wins, the bad guy wins. You know what I mean? Just if they get away today, they get away. You let it be to be continued, right? Just so yeah, we're
Yeah, I
missing a
was
lot of that.
I was actually having a conversation with someone, and we're talking about the company that the mouse runs, and it was the
Hmm.
same thing. I just wish that
Yeah,
they would just let it just be fantasy
yeah.
again.
Just let it be fantasy again, man. Yeah, just let it be fantasy again. Like not a message up under
Yeah,
the cartoon. It's like I don't want to have to, right? As a parent, I don't want to have to watch a cartoon before my kid watches it.
yeah.
Right? I want to just be able to say, okay, you're watching cartoons, great. This is a safe space. My
Mm-hmm.
kid's just watching a cartoon. I don't have to worry about any other agenda, right? There, right? Whether I agree with the agenda or not, it's like I don't want any agenda there. Just let
Yeah,
them just be kids, right? Just we have to continue to protect the kids. and unfortunately, that is a battle that I think is going to continue because it's just trying to condition and
Yeah.
kids, and so it's just really challenging.
You see, Walt Disney's vision back then, that's why he created Disney World for us to escape,
Yeah.
the real world problems and just be with our kids and enjoy
Right. Right.
a
Right. Not
day.
escape. Right.
Yeah, in
Now you're
Disneyland.
escaping it to get back to it. Right. Yeah.
And and by the way, I went to Disneyland for the very first time in my life a few weeks ago, and I'm
Uh
like,
huh.
wow, this is smaller than Disney World.
Yeah. 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 It's a huge difference. Yeah, it's
It
a huge
is.
difference. But man, yeah, we can just keep the experience for the kids. Just, I mean, keep it. It's trying to keep them in a place of innocence,
Mm-hmm.
right? So that they can kind of be able to formulate their own views, right? They
Right.
deserve that to be able to kind of look at something and say, I either agree or I don't agree, but they deserve that as opposed to being pre-programmed, right, to think a certain way before they're able to even formulate what it means.
Yeah.
So and that goes for pretty much everything. So it's interesting. It's
Yeah.
interesting. But I love roller coasters, man. I tell you what, I'm a roller coaster kind of person, so they keep that going all day long, man. I love it. I went. Let's see, where were we? We were at Dollywood.
Hmm.
Um, it was this in the wintertime, like around Christmas time. I went to Dollywood. Man, we had a ball, and like my 5-year-old was like on a roller coaster, and I didn't think he was gonna do it, man. But he was on a roller coaster like up in the front, and I'm like
Uh huh.
thinking he's gonna freak out, and he's having a ball, and I was like, my man, and it was just fun. So I mean, those kind of experiences, I love that about these theme parks, man. Get on these rides.
Yeah. By the way, was that
Yeah.
in December?
That was that the thing? It's between Thanksgiving and Christmas, so around that time.
Oh
It was
man,
cold though.
you know what's weird?
What?
Our paths would have crossed because,
Really?
yeah, I was me and my girlfriend. We were
Uh-huh.
invited over to our good friend's cabin,
Uh-huh.
family,
Yeah.
and it was right at the entrance of Dollywood, right
Are you
near.
serious?
Yeah,
Wow.
yeah,
Wow. Yeah. Man, it was cold as a mug, man.
yeah.
We
It
had
was.
hoods
Yeah,
and all this. But yeah, man, it was fun. But man, you were there about the same time. Okay.
yeah,
Man, it's beautiful up there, man.
yeah. It
Yeah, it's
is.
beautiful, man. Yeah,
Yeah.
I was like, wow. Yeah.
Did you had a bear scare over there or no?
No, we didn't have a bear scare. No, we were down in Pigeon Forge. Yeah, we were down there. There's a whole lot of people. We didn't have a bear scare, man. But yeah, it was a cold scare. I tell you that. It was super cold out there,
Yeah.
especially getting on those roller coasters. But it was fun.
What's exciting, like a roller coaster ride for me, was when I drove there for the first time and I went on this hill. I mean, it's so
Uh-huh.
the just driving around and at the same time it's foggy. Oh man,
Oh boy,
scary.
yeah.
Yeah,
Going through all those mountains and all that. Yeah,
yeah,
yeah, it is. Yeah, you realize how small you are once you're up there in something that big, and like how big everything else is. Yes, sir.
yeah. I was thinking
Crazy.
about coming back over there, maybe around Memorial Day weekend.
You should.
Yeah,
Yeah, you should. It'd be nice then. I mean, the weather will be real good. You
yeah.
know. Yeah, you should
Just need to
definitely
talk
do
to
that.
with family members right now.
Yeah.
All right. So, Sean, if fate went on a different path for you back then, what would you have succeeded on professionally?
Anything. Anything. Just I would have. I mean, um, anything I put my mind to, really. I
Hmm.
believe that now. I mean, I believe that's what I believe about any human, right? That you can be successful at anything you touch. Now that, of course, that's it's a colon after that, I guess, or whatever, right? Because there's a lot,
Yeah,
right, with the effort and the skill and all that thing
yeah.
that go into it. But I wanted to be in business for myself of some sort. I wasn't exactly sure what that business was. I did not want to work with kids, so that's the comedy in all this, or the irony in all of it, if you will. But regardless of the irony and the fact that I work with kids and I have a business, really makes it interesting. But I think I would have been successful at anything I was going to put my hands to because I was willing to put the work in to really make it happen and just try to, I just adamant on, okay, let me figure out how to make this work. because I had watched, I watched my mom do that. I've
Uh-huh.
seen the results of family members and friends who didn't do that. So I know that I didn't want to be where I'd seen some people. I know I wanted to be in a different place.
Mm. You know, if I looked at you right now, I probably would say, "Oh, he looks like an athlete," because you have
Yeah.
you look pretty built.
Well, man, the thing is that I enjoy sports. If there was a sport that I could have played like that, it
Uh-huh.
would have been baseball. I would have really enjoyed playing baseball. I didn't, uh, but that was probably a sport I wish that I would have spent more time in, right? Because I enjoy it. Football is cool,
Uh-huh.
but football players don't last too long, man. And it's like when
That's
you
true.
see them, well, and then when you see them after the league, I mean, you
Oh
know,
yeah.
a lot of them are
It's a
broken
sad
up, man.
story.
It's like, golly, was it really worth it? You got millions and millions of dollars, but a lot of them are in a lot of pain
Yeah.
because of all these injuries. But uh, baseball would have been a thing I would have enjoyed. I'd have played first base, man. That's what I played when I was a kid. I'd have enjoyed that.
Oh
Yeah.
yeah.
Oh yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
That's good. It
Yeah,
would have
man.
been probably with the Braves.
Ah, yeah. Yeah, that'd have been nice.
I mean, that would be nice. I mean,
Yeah.
look at Derrick Rose. He played for the Bulls for a while, and that was his hometown.
Right. 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 Yeah. Yeah. Definitely done that. Yeah. The Braves would have been dope. Or the Marlins. You know what I mean? Or like, who is that in Tampa? The Rays. Yeah.
Uh-huh.
Yeah. Or Blair played in Tampa. Yeah. Played for the Rays or something like that. That'd have been great.
Great. Um, all right. Let me see what I have. What else questions I have here? I'm just gonna scroll it right here. Okay, I know there's a lot of viral videos plastered all over social media
Mm-hmm.
showing the youth in the inner cities and inciting violence, lawlessness, and damaging property wherever they go. What's the best advice you can give them if they are listening to this episode right now?
You're wasting your time. Like you're seriously wasting your time, and the path you're on is you stay on that one, and you're not going to get what it is that you really want out of life. That's the truth. I mean, you're in a world now where you got to compete not only with the kids that you're in your city, but with kids around the world. So while you're running around and
Yeah.
doing all that, I mean, these other kids are. We have an article in our issue. This issue just came out
Mm-hmm.
from a guy named Dominic out of Taiwan, and he's talking about why the children in Taiwan, why they perform better, why Chinese kids in particular, why they perform better, and he's talking about ultimately it comes down to their work ethic is what it's about, right? And it's a great article, but it's about work ethic, man. While some of our kids, too many of our kids, are running around doing this lawlessness stuff, making bad choices. There's other kids around the world that are actually in school and studying for their professions and getting the grades to go to college. And the thing is that you got to compete with those kids. And so then when you can't compete with that kid, then your opportunities become very narrow. And if you look at online right now, if you just look on social media, look at how fast your jobs are, but those jobs are becoming obsolete. Like think about the
Yeah.
person that used to write things for, a CEO or things like that. Now they can use AI for that. Think about the person that was like flipping burgers and like had that job for 10, 15 years to be able to make money. Well, now they're going to have a robot for that. Think about
Mm-hmm.
the truck driver, right? Or the bus driver that was able to drive those trucks and those buses and be able to make a living to take care of their family. Now they have trucks and buses that drive themselves, right? I was at the Consumer Electronics Show in Vegas a couple years ago, man. Automated buses, automated cars, automated trucks,
Mm-hmm.
right? All those jobs are becoming obsolete, and it's going to happen, right? The Go to a gas station. You go to a gas station now. There's no person sitting there checking you out. You check yourself out. You go to a grocery
Yep.
store. You check yourself out. So while you're wasting time not getting the skills and education you need, you may go to college, but go get a trade. While you're not doing that, there are other kids that are, and those kids are going to take the job. And then what are you going to do? Because in a minute they ain't gonna need you to sell dope either. They're gonna have a robot for that, or just be able to go into a store. Weed's legalized. They don't even need you to sell dope no more. So what you gonna do?
Yep.
You know what I mean? Like, think, man.
Man, we are on the outs. By the way, I just saw this. Did you know? It says in Japanese schools, the students don't get any exams until they reach the fourth grade. Why? Because the goal for the first 3 years of school is not to judge the child's knowledge or learning, but to establish good manners and develop character. The Japanese scholars teach manners before knowledge.
Mm. And that's why they have so much discipline.
Yeah.
That's why there's discipline. Yeah, I mean, shoot, man. Hey, you not listen. These other cultures, you're not gonna see them disrespecting their family. Not out in public, and
Yep.
you don't see it that way. You don't see them misrepresenting. And so that falls on the parents, right?
Yeah.
To parent their kids. Like when the kids in Chicago were running down the street, the whole thing goes, well, where are the parents, right? Where is the parents? That's like,
Mm-hmm.
you know,
Yeah.
where are the parents?
That was actually my next question. Is like, what would you like to say to the parents?
Uh, to the parents, uh, the number one goal of a parent, right? Outside of all this other stuff, right? Is there's all
Yeah.
kinds of things, right? Kids don't come with the manual, but it's to be present, to be actively engaged and present in their life, right? No one knows the secrets to parenting and has them until after they've parented a child, right? But to be actively engaged in with your kid, and to recognize that yes, you are your child's best friend. A lot of times parents will say, "I'm not your friend, I'm your parent." No, you're their best friend. But that doesn't mean that you give them everything that you want, right? A
Yeah.
best friend is somebody that's going to have their back and then tell them, when they're right and when they're wrong.
Mm-hmm.
That's what a real friend is going to do. A real friend is not going to, mistreat them or abandon them, right? I mean, we got all these, it's like parents out here just abandoning their kids. You got dads out here having kids all over the place and not taking care of them, right? And it's like, well, what's the deal with that, right? It's like it's a
Yeah.
big issue. So to be engaged, because the alternative is nobody, the teachers are overworked, right? Teachers
Mm-hmm.
are overworked. They can't just educate anymore in America. They got to educate them on school. Then they got to teach them about hygiene and deal with their anxiety and depression and deal with all this other stuff that's going on and then try to teach them, right? Well, where are we going to put all these people that have these issues? Well, we want to rehabilitate as many of them as we can. Yeah, that's an option. But what about the ones that can't be rehabilitated? Well, then they get thrown into prison. So now you have
Yeah.
all this privatized prison, and everybody's mad about that, right? But nobody's mad about the fact that these parents aren't parenting. And so, not that one is right or wrong or whatever, but if we can get the parents to focus on raising their kids, then some of these other issues that are going on the other side, um, won't affect their children. Parent your kids before it's
Yeah.
too late.
Don't you think it would be beneficial if you can probably start some sort of a seminar with parents,
Yeah,
sort of as a means to you know to make the family bonding cohesive? You
absolutely.
know. Yeah.
Absolutely. I mean, it would definitely be beneficial because there's a lot of parents that just don't know, right? So for me in particular, I'm more on accelerating the performance of youth, right? So
Mm-hmm.
that's what I talk to parents about how to do is to accelerate their child's performance, not how to necessarily parent, right? Because the parent knows the child better than any of us. If you just spend time with your kid, you're going to know exactly how your kid ticks, but because your child is you. And if you spend time with the child's with your mate, right, whether that's your husband or however you got this child into the world, then you're going to know that person, which means you're going to also know your child. Uh, but absolutely, we could do that. It would be great because we could talk to parents about how to improve their child's work ethic, how to improve their discipline, their confidence, their focus, right? How to keep them in the right environment, right? Because even if you're in a
Yeah.
situation where it's like, well, I live in the inner city, how can I keep my child in the right environment? Just because your child is in the inner city doesn't mean they have to be of the inner city, which is a big difference.
Yeah. I feel for them too because some of
Yeah,
them, they really work too hard and yet,
yeah,
they can't come home. Some of them got two jobs,
yep, yep,
and
and that makes it tough.
and and the city even fails the community, especially when they close schools down.
Yep.
Kids got nowhere to go. Kids start resorting to doing, foolish things.
Absolutely, absolutely. I mean, we see it all the time, right? You have
Yeah.
a basketball program that was keeping the kids off the street get shut down for whatever reason,
Mm-hmm.
or a basketball court because now that basketball court had enough acres to build a high rise, so now they want to build a high rise there instead of letting it be there for the children.
Yeah.
But that the importance of that is people understanding how to adapt, right? And so
Yeah.
it's we have to adapt necessarily. When you have to adapt, you have to adapt not necessarily because you want to, but because you have to a lot of times, right? Something has happened that you didn't necessarily want to happen, and now you have to adjust to that situation. That is why it's important for children to have their parents, because as a parent, you've gone before them. So when the basketball court where your kid used to go to gets shut down and now there's a high rise there, you say, okay, well, now you may not be able to play outside, but we're going to play over here now
Hmm.
and go to this place. And yeah, it might be a situation where I don't have the money or I have a situation, but what I've learned is that when you make a decision, the way will present itself. And that's the thing. When you make a decision, the way will present itself. No, you may not have the money to go over here, but when you make a decision that at least I know my kid ain't gonna be over here on the corner, they're gonna do
Hmm.
something else. Something will open up, a scholarship opportunity,
Yeah.
a program that you can afford, a job where you can get a raise to be able to provide. Something always opens up, but you have to be able to make that adjustment to be able to do it.
Yeah, that's
And
true.
yeah,
Yeah, and the rewards will follow when you make the
it'll
right
follow.
decision.
Yeah, but there's so many parents, man, that just certain things they just don't know not to do because it was done to them. For example, you know, you shouldn't yell at your children. But if
Hmm.
you were yelled at and cussed at by your parents, you don't know. You're like, okay, well, I'm all right. At least I think I am. You're like, well, you don't know that you shouldn't do that to your kid. I mean, we see stuff on social media where it's like parents like having a conversation and they cussing with their kid. Dropping the F bomb with like a 10-year
Yeah.
old and he's dropping the F bomb. It's like, well, hold up, man. Like, how is that okay? Right? It's just certain things that people don't realize that maybe they shouldn't do or they should rethink how they're doing it. That they just don't know.
Yeah. Yeah. By the way, something irks me, and I go on Twitter every once in a while, and it's
All right.
it's just showing like just people beating up each other, whether it's a grown up or whether it's a youth.
Yeah.
And the thing is, they never explain as to why what's going on. They just try to rile
Yeah.
up everyone and
Yeah.
try to start something,
Yeah.
some
Yeah.
beef.
Yeah. 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 Keep a division. Keep the
Yeah,
division going, man. Yeah, I hate to see that. I hate to see it. It's like, people like fighting on social media. Like you see
yeah,
them fighting these clips. It's like, man, why are you showing this? But it's entertainment, man. It gets the
yeah,
views. Man, you have 50,000 views for something like that, and maybe 10 views for something that'll improve somebody's life. And it's like, it's, it's like, what are they thinking?
yeah.
They'll talk about how bad it is and then share it with 10 people.
Man, I mean, especially when you just see someone just like knocked out cold, and everyone's just like so
Yeah, man.
happy.
So happy, yeah, walking over them, or you're seeing
Mm-hmm.
this very ignorant portrayal of a group of people, which creates fear in the real world, right? If you see a group of people always fighting and beating up each other and doing ignorant things, when you step outside in the real world, you're going to think that everybody's like that, right? And that's not the case. And so it's very important um, that we control that, but it's like, how can you control it if that's all you're seeing, right? If that's
Yeah.
all you're seeing, how can you control that happening? So, it's one of those things we got to deal with.
Yep. And when things just spread out viral like that, it's just man, just everywhere,
It's
everywhere. The
crazy. Yeah,
exposure, yeah.
yeah,
See,
it's
back then
crazy.
we had control when we didn't have the internet back in our days.
We didn't have it. Yeah, you didn't have that, but now you got it, and that's why it's
Mm-hmm.
important for people to monitor
Yeah.
what their kids are looking at and listening to. I mean, like, viewer discretion be advised is for a reason,
Uh huh.
right? There's a reason that E is in front of those songs. It's like, okay, to let you
Yeah.
know that really what it says is that your kid shouldn't be listening to this. Your kid shouldn't be watching this. If your kid is 9 years old and this movie is rated R or it's rated PG-13, they probably shouldn't look at it, right? But
Yep.
it's challenging because now so many movies that kids like is rated PG-13. For example,
Right.
all of your Marvel movies, right?
Mm-hmm.
All of your what else? I'm trying to think of what other you got. Marvel, and then you got what
Yeah, you got
else?
all these
Star
TV
Wars.
shows on Netflix.
And then you got all these TV shows on Netflix where it's like, where your kid really should be like 13 or above before they're even
Mm-hmm.
seeing any of that stuff. But what's happening is that we're not following that guideline. So you have your child, for example, 9 out of 10 children of color cannot read above the fourth grade level, or by fourth grade level, 9 out of 10 children of color are reading below level. That is a statistic. You can look it up.
All right, Shaun, thanks for your time and being a part of my podcast today. I learned so much about you in your own words, and all the best in your success always.
I appreciate it.
It's been a pleasure.
Sure.
Now, is there anything you want to say to the viewers and listeners before we sign off?
Check out You Can Have It All Kids magazine. And if you have a youth that you would like to get some good content, good, safe content for kids, also have a possibility to be in a magazine, then go to You Can Have It All Kids. So it's youkids.world. And then other than that, man, go after your dreams, man. Anything you want, man, you can really do it. Just don't give up. Just keep going.
You heard that, everyone? Yep. Yeah, go for your dreams. And thank you, everyone, for listening to another episode of the 2400 Block Podcast. We are back, season number 4, premiere right here with the one and only Shaun SF Banks. Thanks again.
Sir.